The ultimate tournament of everything.
Welcome to this Tournament of Everything Scouting Report, where we take a look at just one competitor in our Tournament of Everything and tell you a little bit about them today.
Absolutely factual. This is the moment, and a moment is a singular piece in the infinite stream of time, much like this scouting report, where we extract one individual from the lengthy list of infinity and we discuss it together to find out how it might fare when we have it inevitably show up in round one. So, Rob, why don't you tell us which randomly generated competitor we will be discussing tonight?
Our randomly generated off of the internet competitor is number 71 Squadron RAF, of course, the Squadron of the Royal Air Force.
Yes, it might be number one in the Air Force, or number 71 in the Air Force, that is, but it's number one in our hearts. It seems as though this is, as you said, an aircraft squadron. The number has been used 3 times, once by the Royal Flying Corps, Australian Flying Corps Squadron, once in the Second World War as the first of 3 Eagle squadrons, and in the post-war as a fighter-bomber unit under the command of the Royal Air Force of Germany.
Well, you know what they say, once, twice, 3 times in Air Force. During its first use in World War I, it was known by the British military as number 71 Squadron. It was actually the number 4 Squadron of the Australian Flying Corps. Make it make sense, guys. I don't understand how you name things in the Army or the Air Force. The squadron was formed at Point Cook, Victoria, Australia on October 16th, 1916. After which it traveled to England. Okay, now it makes sense. It was one thing there, and now it's a different thing somewhere else. Okay, I get it. From March 27, 1917, while based in Castle Broomwick, it was designated number 71 by the Royal Flying Corps to avoid confusion with number 4 of the Royal Flying Corps. This name was never officially adopted, however, by the Australians.
No, but they knew what it was. Now, this 4th Squadron of the Air Force arrived in France on the 18th of December in 1917, so we got all of those numbers packed in there somehow, with Sopwith Camels. It performed fighter sweeps and provided close air support and even raided German airfields. Now, in spite of its relatively short service during the First World War, 11 of its pilots became aces. Usually, you've only got 4 of those max, including Captain Harry Cobby, and that was the leading ace of the war.
Yeah. So apparently to be an ace, you need to shoot down, 5 enemy aircraft? Is that what it is to be an ace?
I'm not sure, but this guy definitely aced that test because he destroyed 29 aircraft and 13 observation balloons.
Wow. Observation balloons apparently count. Now, at the start of the Second World War, before the U.S. entered the war, there was a large number of American volunteers offering their services, as America is wont to do. And number 71 was formed again at RAF Church Fenton on the 19th of September, 1940, as the first Eagle Squadron with the Brewster Buffaloes.
Yes, this was a time when appraisal by Royal Air Force acceptance personnel criticized the Brewster Buffaloes on numerous points, including lack of armament and pilot armor, poor high altitude performance, their engines would overheat, basically unreliable cockpit controls. However, it was praised for its handling, its roomy cockpit, and its visibility. You could see everything underneath you.
Well, when I'm in a flying death machine, I really want to know, how comfortable can I be? So that's a good thing that they were worried about that. And my second question, how's the view? Those are definitely my top 2 concerns, but that's probably why I'm not an Air Force pilot. Now, this group even saw action during Pearl Harbor when the 71st and 121st Squadrons went to the American Embassy in London and then offered their services there. Oh, I missed a bit. Oh, no.
Well, it's okay because these people didn't miss a single beat. When informed of the attack on Pearl Harbor, most of the Eagle Squadron pilots wanted to immediately join the fight against Japan. And now representatives from 71 and 121 squadrons went to the American Embassy in London and offered their services. Looks like pilots decided they wanted to go to Singapore and fight, but it was ultimately turned down.
Got it. There it is. Now, this ranking designation. Designation was even used into the jet age. Now, on September 16th, 1950, a new 71 Squadron was formed at RAF Goosterslow and de Havilland Vampire Fighter Bombers. Ooh, Vampire Fighter Bombers. Those are fun. Joining the 2nd Tactical Air Force in October of 1953, it became a day fighter unit with the North American Sabre. The Sabres were replaced by Hawker Hunters in April of 1956, and the squadron moved to Bruggen in May of 1956, and then, finally, after being used 3 times over 3 different wars, was disbanded in 1957.
Truly, but their beautiful names of all these squadrons remain. Although I gotta say, if you're gonna fight vampires with a bomber, which doesn't seem entirely inappropriate, you're probably going to want to do it at night. Looks like they were trying to do it during the day. Vampires don't come out during the day, but you know what does come out during the day every single day? An episode of this here podcast. On Tuesdays and Thursdays, we have our full-length feature fights where we pit off 18 contestants against one another 2 by 2 in 9 rounds to find out who's going to be victorious and move on to round 2 of this ultimate tournament of everything. And every single other day we have a short just like this where we bring you just one contestant, even though that might be the 71st Squadron.
So if you enjoyed any of that, make sure that you give us a rating on wherever you get your podcasts. Make sure you continue to listen, and make sure you tell a friend, because listening's always more fun together.
The ultimate tournament of everything.